He thought I was too weak to stop him, but I turned the tables. What he didn't know would cost him everything. My name is Zaha. I'm 60. This is my story. Let me tell you something I never thought I'd say out loud. Not as a father, not as a man who raised his son with both hands and both lungs full of hope. This story, this wound, it still stings. Welcome back to your ultimate destination for gripping revenge stories, family betrayals, shocking betrayals, and emotional justice. Subscribe now and join a community and tell us where you're watching from. Turn on the notification bell for our next story. Are you ready to witness the ultimate payback? Let's get started. 3 months ago, I was lying in a hospital bed, coughing so hard my ribs felt like splintered wood. Pneumonia, they said. Severe. They monitored me like I was a flickering candle that could go out at any moment. And through all of that fear, all of that weakness, there was one comfort I clung to, my son, Ethan. My only child. The boy I raised alone after his mother passed. The boy whose future I sacrificed everything for. So you can imagine my confusion when the nurse told me, "Someone was here earlier, sir. Your son, I think." He asked for the spare house keys. Said you told him to pick them up. I blinked. I hadn't told him anything, but I brushed it away. Medication makes you doubt yourself. Fear makes you assume the best. And Ethan? Well, Ethan had been struggling lately, job hopping, drowning in debt, always chasing quick money schemes like they were oxygen. Maybe he needed something from home. Maybe he was finally trying to fix his life. I didn't want to worry. I didn't want to believe anything ugly. But 3 days later, I got a call. It wasn't from Ethan. It was from my neighbor, Mrs. Fletcher, the type who sees everything from behind her lace curtains. "Zaha," she whispered, like she was afraid the wind would carry her words. "There are people walking around your yard. Suits. Clipboards. They're taking pictures of the house." My heart jumped so violently that I felt it in my throat. "What do you mean people are taking pictures? Who are they?" I asked, she said. "They told me they're real estate evaluators." Evaluators? I gripped the hospital phone so hard it squeaked. I couldn't breathe for a moment. I felt something cold crawl up my spine. But I still told myself, no, Ethan would never. He knows this house is all I have. 2 days later, the truth arrived, not gently, not gradually, but like a slap across the face. I was still hooked up to 4 fluids when a hospital administrator walked in with a folder. "Mr. Zaha," she said, "we received inquiries from a title agency trying to verify your hospitalization status. Someone is attempting to sell your property. They needed confirmation of your condition." The silence in that room wasn't silence. It was an explosion. "Who requested the documents?" I croaked. "Your son," she replied. "Ethan Zaha." I stopped breathing. I swear I did. It felt like a blade pressed right into the center of my chest. Not a killing one, but the kind meant to carve slowly. My own son, trying to sell my home, the home I built, the home he grew up in, while I lay in a hospital bed not knowing if I'd see another sunrise. And then she handed me the papers. That's when I saw something even worse. A signature sat at the bottom, messy, uneven, shaky, as though someone tried very hard to mimic mine. The problem? It wasn't my handwriting. And it wasn't Ethan's either. It was someone else's. Someone helping him. Someone willing to forge my name to take what wasn't theirs. I stared at that signature and felt something inside me go still, like a lake whose surface freezes solid in an instant. Not anger. Not sadness. Just a deep, cold certainty. This wasn't going to end the way Ethan thought. He believed I was weak. He believed I was alone. He believed I was dying. But he forgot something. A man doesn't survive everything I have by being helpless. And if my son wanted a war, then a war is exactly what he was going to get. I must have stared at that forged signature for a full minute before I realized I wasn't breathing right. You know that sound your heartbeat makes when you're scared. Not loud, not fast, but hollow. Like someone knocking from inside your chest? That was me. I kept whispering to myself, "This can't be happening, not Ethan, not my son." But the evidence sat in front of me, cold and unapologetic. The administrator left the room, and suddenly the walls felt closer. The air got heavier. Every beep from the monitor beside my bed sounded like a countdown. I wasn't dying, at least not physically, but something inside me was being cracked open. Something I didn't know could still break. After a few minutes, I pressed the call button. A nurse walked in. "Do you need pain medication, Mr. Lewis?" "No," I said, voice rough. "I need my personal belongings." All of them. She hesitated. Sir, you're still under observation. I won't leave the hospital, I said. But I need my phone. Now. There was steel in my voice, the kind I hadn't used in years. The kind a parent uses only when something is trying to hurt their child, or when their child is the one doing the hurting. When I finally got my phone, I stared at Ethan's number. My thumb hovered above it, but I couldn't press call. I didn't trust what would come out of my mouth. I didn't trust what he would say. Instead, I dialed my lawyer, James Walker, a man who had seen every type of betrayal a family could cook up. He picked up on the second ring. Daniel? You all right? No, I said, and the word tasted bitter. I need you to check something. Quietly. What's going on? My son is trying to sell my house. I heard him exhale slowly, like he had expected something like this, but hoped he was wrong. All right, he said. Who was the buyer? I don't know yet, but there's a forged signature. Not mine. Not Ethan's. That means someone else is involved, he said. And that means this goes deeper. Deeper. That word felt like a warning. James told me he would dig into everything, title agency, buyer details, pending agreements, property visits, without leaving a paper trail. Don't contact Ethan yet, he said. I wasn't planning to, I replied. When I hung up, the room felt too quiet again. Too still. Hospitals make you feel small, powerless. But the truth was, my mind had never been sharper. Pain does that. Betrayal does that. Later that night, as the nurses dimmed the lights, I pretended to sleep. But my mind was racing, stitching pieces together. Why would Ethan be desperate enough to attempt something this reckless? Was it the debts? The gambling? The failed business ventures? Or was there someone in his ear, pushing him, encouraging him? At around 11 p.m., when the hallway was quiet, my phone buzzed under the blanket. A message from an unknown number. I opened it. You're causing delays. Sign the document and let things move. No greeting. No name. No explanation. Just a threat wearing politeness like a cheap coat. And attached to the message was a picture. My house. My front door. Taken that same night. My stomach turned cold. Someone was watching the house. Someone who knew I was in the hospital. Someone who wanted me silent. I sat up in bed, heart thundering, hands shaking. Not with fear, but with something sharper. Resolve. Because now I knew one thing. This wasn't just Ethan's doing. Someone else was orchestrating it. And if they thought I was vulnerable, if they thought I would roll over and let them take everything I built, they were about to learn who I really was. The next morning, the sunlight didn't feel warm. It felt intrusive, like it was trying to peel back layers I wasn't ready to reveal. I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that picture of my front door. That message, you're causing delays. Sign the document and let things move. Someone wasn't just pushing Ethan, they were watching me. Around 9 a.m., a nurse stepped in, cheerful as always. Good morning, Mr. ZAHA. Breakfast? Not hungry, I muttered. Truth was, my stomach had tied itself into 1,000 knots. I was still staring at my phone when the door opened again. But this time, it wasn't a nurse. It was Ethan. He walked in slowly, pretending to be concerned, pretending he didn't have betrayal dripping off his hands. His eyes scanned the room, then landed on me. Dad, you're awake. I didn't answer. He shifted awkwardly. I came as soon as I could. I've been so worried. I let out a humorless laugh. Worried about me or the paperwork? His face froze. What paperwork? He said it too fast, too rehearsed. I looked him dead in the eyes. Don't insult me. Silence. For the first time, he looked like a child again, cornered, afraid, trapped in his own guilt. Then he sighed. Dad, listen, it's not what you think. Oh, so you didn't try to sell my house while I was unconscious? His jaw tightened. It's complicated. No, I said softly. It's betrayal. He rubbed his face. I needed money. The debts. Dad, you don't understand. I understand perfectly. I cut in. What I don't understand is how my own son can walk into my house, forge my signature, and pretend he's doing me some kind of favor. Ethan stepped closer, voice cracking. I wasn't going to let anything bad happen to you. I leaned forward, eyes locked on him. You already did. He swallowed hard. Dad, I'm sorry. He wasn't. I could hear it. Sorry gets whispered. Desperation gets stuttered. Ethan's words were steady, practiced. Who sent this? I asked, holding up my phone, showing him the message. He paled. He recognized the number. He looked away. You're not working alone, I said. Who is it? I can't say. Can't or won't. His hands trembled. He reached out like he wanted to grab the phone, then stopped. Dad, if I tell you, they'll come after me. They already did, I said. They just chose to start with me. Ethan's voice dropped to a whisper. Dad, this is bigger than you think. I know, I said. That's why you're going to tell me everything. He shook his head violently. No, you don't get it. These people. He stopped. Because the hospital door opened again. A woman walked in. Mid-40s. Sharp suit. Cold eyes. The kind of presence that silences a room. She looked at Ethan first. Then at me. Then at the chart hanging on the bed. Finally, she spoke with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Mr. ZAHA? I'm here about the property transfer. Ethan's face turned ghost white. I felt the air in the room shift, like the temperature dropped 10 degrees. She closed the door behind her. Clicked the lock. My pulse spiked. She set a thick folder on my bed tray and said, Let's not make this difficult. Ethan stepped back. I told you he wasn't ready. She silenced him with a glare. Then she turned to me. Sign the papers, she said. You've caused enough delays. I leaned back, my voice steady, calm, ice cold. Or what? She smiled again. And for the first time, I understood. This wasn't just about money. It was about control. And she thought she had it. She thought wrong. She stood there like she owned the room. Like she owned me. Like she owned my house already. Her confidence wasn't loud. It was precise, calculated. The kind that came from stepping on people who didn't fight back. Mr. ZAHA, she said again, tapping the folder with her finger, you'll save us all time by signing. Us? I asked. Who is US? She smirked. Let's not pretend you don't know what your son is involved in. Ethan flinched like she slapped him. I watched him carefully. He was terrified. Not of me. Not of being caught. But of her. I folded my arms. You forced him. She raised an eyebrow. Forced? No. We gave him opportunities. He accepted them. I looked at Ethan. His eyes dropped to the floor. Is that true? I asked him. He didn't answer. Which was the answer? The woman took a step closer to the bed. Mr. ZAHA, we're not criminals. We're business people solving a liquidity issue. Your house is the simplest asset to liquidate. You mean steal? Her smile widened. Borrow. I stared straight into her eyes. I'm not signing a damn thing. She leaned over my bed, close enough that I could see every ounce of contempt in her expression. You're a man recovering from a hard episode, she said softly. Stress is the last thing you need. A signature would calm things down. She actually threatened me with my own health. I let out a slow breath. And what happens if I say no? Her voice dropped, silk turning to ice. Then we apply pressure where it hurts. My jaw tightened. Meaning? She turned to Ethan. Dragons don't need fire. They burn with silence. Ethan broke first. Dad, please, he whispered. Don't make this worse. Worse for who? I demanded. He swallowed hard. He wasn't afraid for himself. He was afraid for me. The woman stepped between us. Mr. ZAHA, you raised a good son. But good sons sometimes make bad deals. We're giving him a chance to walk away clean. Your cooperation makes that possible. And my house. She blinked once, slowly. Collateral. It hit me. This wasn't about my house. They didn't care about the property. They wanted leverage. A foothold. Something to break me with if they needed to control Ethan again. Let me see the papers, I said. Ethan gasped. Dad, no, don't. The woman smiled triumphantly and handed me the folder. But I didn't look at the papers. I looked at her. Do you know the first thing my lawyer told me this morning? I asked. She hesitated. Just a flicker, barely a breath, but I saw it. And what was that? She asked. I held her gaze. That the forged signature wasn't good enough to pass a real verification. The corner of her mouth twitched. Got her. So, I continued. Either you're inexperienced or careless. Ethan's eyes widened. He realized what I was doing. I wasn't negotiating. I was provoking. The woman's voice sharpened. Mr. ZAHA, I suggest you choose your next words carefully. I already did, I said calmly. And my next word is, no. She snapped the folder shut, so fast it echoed. Her smile vanished. She leaned in, her voice low, venomous. You're making the wrong choice. I smiled back. No, I'm making the first right one. She straightened, looked at Ethan, and said coldly, You told him too much. And no, I didn't. Enough. She walked to the door and unlocked it. If he won't sign, we escalate. This is now out of your hands. She walked out without another glance. Ethan stood frozen. I spoke quietly. You need to tell me everything. Right now. But Ethan shook his head, eyes filling with panic. Dad, you don't understand. Once she says escalate. He stopped mid-sentence. His phone buzzed. He looked at the screen, and his face drained of all color. Dad? He whispered shakily. You're not safe here. My pulse slowed. Not quickened, slowed. A cold, deliberate calm. Because I knew exactly what that meant. They weren't just coming for my house anymore. They were coming for me. Ethan stared at his phone like it had just whispered his death sentence. His hands were shaking so badly the screen rattled. Ethan, I said slowly, what does the message say? He didn't answer. Son. My voice dropped into that tone he knew since childhood, the one he never ignored. Show me. His eyes lifted, glassy with fear. Dad, they're coming here. I exhaled once. Who? The men she works with. If they think you won't sign, they'll. He covered his mouth, like the words were too dangerous to even speak out loud. My heart didn't race, didn't panic, didn't spiral. It tightened, like a fist, forming slowly. How long do we have? I asked. He looked at the timestamp. The message was sent 3 minutes ago. They're close. I pushed the bed's railing aside and swung my legs over the edge. Dad, Ethan rushed to me. You can't get up. You're not stable. Ethan, I said, gripping his wrist, look at me. He did. This is where you tell the truth. All of it. Right now? If we don't have time, then you don't have the luxury of lying anymore. He swallowed hard, then nodded, words tumbling out fast and broken. I borrowed money from them. A lot. More than I could ever pay back. They said they would help me start over, give me a chance to fix things. But they tricked me, Dad. They wanted collateral. I told them I had nothing. So they looked at me. I finished. Tears slipped down his face. I never thought they'd actually come after you. Not like this. I felt the anger simmer, not blazing, not exploding. Slow. Controlled. Measured. Who are they? I asked. A group that calls itself the brokers. They look legitimate. Offices, documents, contracts, but they're not. They're worse than loan sharks. They trap people with paperwork and threats. If you push back, they escalate. If you fight, they ruin you. And if you refuse to sign? I asked. His silence was confirmation. I stood up. My legs trembled, but not enough to stop me. Help me get dressed, I told him. Dad, now. He grabbed my clothes from the cabinet, his hands fumbling with urgency. We need security. We need to tell the nurses. The police. No police, I said. Why not? Because police show up after the damage, I said calmly. Not before. Ethan looked at me like he didn't recognize me. Like the father he betrayed had cracked open, revealing something colder underneath. You're not afraid, he whispered. Fear doesn't help me right now, I said. But clarity does. I buttoned my shirt slowly, deliberately. My heart monitor beeped once, sharp, annoyed. I ripped the sensors off my chest. Dad, please, Ethan said, voice breaking. Let's leave the room at least. No, I said. He blinked. No. They expect me to run. To hide. To panic. I sat on the chair beside the bed. So I'm going to do the opposite. Dad, these aren't people you can reason with. I'm not planning to reason. A shadow moved under the door. Ethan's breath caught. They're here. Footsteps. 2 sets. Slow. Heavy. Confident. Someone tried the handle. Locked. A voice outside. Open it. He's inside. Ethan grabbed my arm. Dad, they'll break the door. Let them. His eyes widened. What? I leaned forward, elbows on my knees, voice low and steady. You wanted to know why I'm calm. He nodded, terrified. Because they threatened the wrong man. The handle shook harder. Then, a loud bang. The door shuttered. Another bang. Ethan jumped backward. I didn't move. One more strike and the door would splinter. I whispered. The moment they step inside, everything changes. The third blow hit. The door began to crack. The handle rattled again. Heavy knocks, impatient. 2 sets of boots on the floor outside, echoing like thunder in my chest. Ethan clutched my arm, eyes wide with panic. Mom, they're breaking in. I didn't flinch. Not even a little. Fear would only make them stronger. I needed them to underestimate me. They think I'm scared. I whispered, voice low, sharp, deadly calm. Good. Let them. The door splintered with the 3rd strike, wood cracking, and then silence. They paused. Caught in that moment between aggression and caution. I straightened in the hospital bed, slow, deliberate, letting them see me as I wanted, fragile, alone, vulnerable. "Hello." I called softly. "Is someone there?" A man stepped in first. Tall, suit pressed, eyes calculating. His partner followed behind, hands twitching near the folder they carried, the same folder I had refused to sign. "Elizabeth Lewis?" the first man said, voice clipped. "We're here about the property transfer. You need to cooperate." I tilted my head, studying him. "Cooperate?" I asked, voice light, teasing almost. "Do you know what that word really means?" He frowned. "We've been patient." "I'm sure you have," I interrupted, smiling faintly. "But you miscalculated one thing. You think I don't know who's behind this. Who's pulling your strings?" Their eyes narrowed. "We're just doing business." "Business," I repeated. "Funny, because when my son told me about the debts, the men he borrowed from, your name came up." The tall one stiffened. His partner twitched. "How do you know that?" I leaned forward, voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. "I know a lot of things. I know who wants this house. I know who threatened me. I know who told Ethan to pressure me while I was recovering. I even know the names of the people ready to move in if I refused to sign." A bead of sweat formed at the man's temple. He stepped back slightly. I let him feel that space. A predator sensing danger, but unable to identify it. "Names?" the second one asked, trying to regain control. I held up my finger like I was counting them. 3. All connected. One even works in your company. He thought I wouldn't notice his code in the paperwork. I smiled thinly. I noticed. They exchanged a quick glance, panic hidden, tension exposed. I could see it in the tiny tremor of a jaw, the tightening of a fist. "Elizabeth," the tall one hissed. "You don't know what you're saying." "Oh, I know exactly what I'm saying," I said. My voice hardened, steel laced with venom. "And if you step 1 foot closer, one misstep, one wrong move, you'll find out exactly how prepared I am to defend what's mine." They froze. My words had landed. Suddenly, I wasn't fragile. I wasn't alone. I was the storm they didn't see coming. I let the silence stretch, long enough for the panic to bloom, long enough for their egos to crack. "And before you try anything else, consider your options. Because I have cameras outside. I have the hospital staff on alert. And I have the law ready to intercept every move you make before you leave this room." The second man swallowed, his bravado faltering. You can't." "I just did," I interrupted, voice calm, deadly. The first man took a step back, dragging the folder behind him. We'll return." I watched them leave, their confidence shattered, retreating into the hallway. I didn't move until the click of the door told me they were gone. Ethan exhaled shakily. "Mom, you tricked them." I smiled softly, placing my hand over his. "No, sweetheart. I taught them a lesson they'll never forget. And this isn't over yet. Not by a long shot. Because even if they thought they'd won, the real fight was only just beginning." Ethan slumped into the chair beside me, finally exhaling a breath he'd been holding for hours. I thought we were done," he muttered. I shook my head slowly. "No, we're just getting started." He blinked. "Started? Dad, they tried to intimidate you. They nearly broke the door. They've got connections, people watching our every move. You can't just fight this on your own." I leaned forward, resting my elbows on my knees. "Ethan, you think I was afraid? That the people who tried to corner us could actually scare me?" He swallowed hard. "No, but I've spent my life building everything I have," I interrupted. "Not just a house, not just an inheritance. My life. And now someone thinks they can take it from me, from my family, by threats and manipulation." Ethan looked down, guilt shadowing his face. Mom. I'm sorry. I should have told you earlier. I shouldn't have involved myself with them. I didn't know they'd." "You didn't know?" I asked, voice low and sharp. "Ethan, that's exactly the problem. You trusted people who have no respect for loyalty, no respect for family, no respect for life itself." He flinched at my words. I didn't mean for this to happen." "I know," I said, softening just slightly. "But intentions don't matter. Actions do. And your actions almost got us destroyed." He nodded, voice trembling. "I'll fix it. I'll make it right. I held up my hand. "No, you won't. Not alone. And not like this." I paused, letting the silence stretch. Then I leaned back, eyes narrowing. "It's time I take control. I've let fear and hesitation dictate too much. Not anymore." Ethan's eyes widened. "Dad, what are you thinking?" "Every move they made," I said, counting them on my fingers. "Every threat, every step, every plan. I know their weaknesses. And now it's my turn. You mean? He trailed off, dread creeping into his tone. Yes, I said, voice calm, but steel thick. I'm going to turn every one of their moves against them. Their threats, their intimidation, even their so-called business connections. Everything they thought they could use to control us, I'll use to destroy them. Ethan's lips parted, but he didn't speak. He didn't need to. I continued, voice low, deliberate. And first, we start small. A leak here. A rumor there. Anonymous calls. Emails sent. People who think they're untouchable suddenly feel like prey. I'll make them paranoid. I'll make them second-guess every step. I'll make them fear the one person they thought was weak and cornered. Ethan swallowed. Dad, you're scaring me. And impressing me. I smiled faintly. Good. Fear is a tool, Ethan. And tonight, we sharpen it. There was a knock at the door, soft, tentative. My pulse didn't quicken. I didn't flinch. I waited. A nurse peeked in. Mr. Zaha, your test results came back. Everything looks stable. I nodded. Thank you. The door closed, but the knock reminded me. The real battle was still out there. Waiting. Watching. Calculating. And I knew. My family wasn't going to be threatened again. Not by my son's mistakes. Not by anyone. I turned to Ethan. Tomorrow, we start. We hit them where it hurts first. But tonight, we prepare. He nodded. I'm with you. Always. I reached out and held his hand. Good. But remember, this isn't just revenge. This is justice. And justice is personal. The phone buzzed on the table. A message from an unknown number. I glanced at it. Briefly, deliberately. My eyes narrowed. They were watching again. They didn't know what was coming. And they wouldn't. When dawn came, it didn't slip softly into my hospital room. It arrived sharp. Cold. Focused. Like me. I didn't sleep. Not because of fear, but because planning kept my mind completely awake. By the time the sky outside turned gray, my entire strategy was already laid out in my head like pieces on a chessboard. Ethan paced the room, anxiety buzzing off him like static. Dad, are you sure about this? He asked for the 10th time. I'm not sure, I answered truthfully. I'm certain. He rubbed his forehead. But these people, they played dirty. I lifted my chin. So do I. The difference is, I do it cleanly. He froze. What does that even mean? That I don't need violence. I don't need threats. I don't need to shout. I said, pushing myself to a sitting position. All I need is the truth. And the right people listening. I reached for my phone. The one Ethan had hidden in a drawer after the break-in. He hesitated. Dad, I don't think. It's time. I cut in. I dialed the first number. A man answered, his voice sharp, impatient. Who is this? It's Zaha, I replied calmly. I have information you'll want to hear. Information about a fraudulent property transfer that implicates one of your own. A silence. Then, go on. I smiled. Hook set. I didn't give details, not yet. Just enough to pique interest, enough to stir suspicion, enough to make him wonder which one of his loyal associates was betraying him. By the time I hung up, I knew the first domino had fallen. Ethan stared at me like I'd turned into someone he'd never met. Zaha, who was that? The man your friends fear more than anyone, I said. Their financier. Their fixer. And now? My ally. If only temporarily. His jaw dropped. You called him? Zaha, do you realize what you just did? Yes. I lit a fuse under their feet. I made a second call, this time to a local reporter I'd once helped years ago. We traded favors back then, and she owed me one. Zaha. She answered, surprise in her voice. I have a story for you, I said. About a son who tried to sell a house that wasn't his. But the real story? The men behind him. The forged signatures. The threats. The break-ins. The corruption. You're serious? Deadly. Her excitement crackled through the phone. By the time I ended that call, Ethan was pacing again, running both hands through his hair. Zaha, this is too big. They'll come after us harder. No, I said. They'll come after each other. Right on cue, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. We need to talk. Now. Ethan peeked over my shoulder. That's them, isn't it? Yes, I said. And they're panicking. Because when criminals smell betrayal, even a hint of it, they implode. They start pointing fingers, doubting alliances, turning on people they once trusted with their lives. And that was the trap. Not to fight them, but to let them fight themselves. I drafted a message, my fingers steady. If you ever want to see the evidence, you'll meet me tonight. Alone. 8 p.m. Old Willow Wharf. Ethan choked. Dad, and oh, that's dangerous. I know, I said softly. But some battles can't be won from a hospital bed. I stood, legs still weak, but determination holding me upright. Dad, please, don't do this alone. I won't, I said. You're coming with me. His eyes widened. What? You helped create this problem, I said gently. Now you'll help end it. He nodded slowly. Like a child accepting a responsibility he'd run from for far too long. As I gathered my things, another message came in. Unknown number. Bring the evidence. Come alone, or it gets worse. I stared at it and smiled. Because I wasn't the prey anymore. I was the storm they never saw coming. And at Willow Wharf, someone wouldn't walk away the same. The night air at Willow Wharf tasted like metal, cold, sharp, and dangerous. Fog rolled in from the water, swallowing everything except the dim glow of one rusted street lamp flickering overhead. Ethan walked beside me, shoulders tense, breath shallow. Mom, we can still go back, he whispered. No, I said. This is where everything breaks, or mends. We stopped at the far end of the wharf. Silence. Just the creaking of old wood beneath our feet. Then, footsteps. 3 silhouettes emerged through the fog like ghosts with bad intentions. Gerard, their leader, stepped forward first. Thick jacket, cold eyes. Behind him, Marco and Devin, the 2 I recognized from the hospital break-in. Ethan flinched when he saw them. Dad, Gerard said. You brought the boy. That wasn't part of the deal. He's not a boy, I said, locking eyes with him. He's my witness. Marco laughed. Witness to what? You came empty-handed. I didn't come empty-handed, I replied. I brought the truth. Devin sneered. Truth doesn't change paperwork. Funny, I said coolly. Because the paperwork you signed certainly wasn't the truth. Gerard's nostrils flared. He hated riddles. Perfect. Ethan stepped closer to me, whispering anxiously. Dad, they don't care about the truth. I cut him off gently. Not yet. Gerard crossed his arms. You said you had evidence. I don't see it. Oh, I have evidence, I said. I just didn't need to bring it here. Marco scoffed. Where is it then? I tapped my head. And in safer hands than yours. Gerard's jaw tightened. Just a flicker, but enough. Suspicion. Mistrust. Exactly what I needed. Let's get to business, he said. Sign the release papers. Give us your property. Quietly. And this ends without trouble. Ethan stepped forward suddenly. His voice cracked. You said you'd protect me. You promised. Gerard's face twitched in irritation. There it is, I murmured. Say it again, Ethan. He hesitated. I gently nudged him. Say it. He swallowed hard. You said if I helped you'd. Helped? Gerard snapped. Kid, you didn't help. You were a liability. Ethan froze as if slapped. And you believed we'd protect you? Devin added with a smirk. You're more naive than your mother. I saw it. The moment the truth finally cracked through him. His shoulders sank. His eyes dimmed. His entire belief that these men were on his side shattered. Dad, he whispered. I didn't know. I didn't know they. I know, I said softly. Gerard exhaled sharply. Enough emotions. Sign the papers, ZAHA. I smiled. Not kindly. Gerard, you're a fool if you think I came here to surrender. He stepped forward, menace radiating from every muscle. And you're a fool if you think you're leaving without signing. I tilted my head. Oh, I'm leaving. And when I do, you'll be undone by your own words. What are you talking about? Marco barked. I clicked the small device in my pocket. A red light blinked. Ethan gasped. You recorded them? Every word since the moment they stepped out of the fog. Gerard lunged forward. But I stepped back, raising the device higher. Touch me, I said. And this audio gets sent automatically to my contacts. The police. The reporter. And your boss. Marco's face drained. We didn't agree to this. You didn't have to, I said. You walked right into it. Gerard glared at Ethan. You brought us into this mess. Ethan finally straightened, voice trembling but strong. No, you used me, and she's done letting you. For the first time, I saw the shame leave his face, and something like courage settle in. Gerard took one step back, then another. You're making a mistake, Marie, he hissed. No, I said. I'm correcting one. He motioned to his men. Let's go. They disappeared into the fog, but not like victors, like men running out of time. Ethan turned to me, eyes wet. Dad, what happens next? I slipped the recorder into my coat pocket. Now. I took a breath. Now we finish what they started. The morning after the war felt unreal, quiet in a way that made the night before seem like a fever dream. But the truth wasn't a dream. The recorder in my pocket was real. The consequences waiting for those men were real. And the consequences waiting for my son were just as real. Ethan sat at the little dining table in my house, head bowed, hands trembling around a mug he hadn't touched. I stood a few feet away, watching him the way a mother watches a child who has finally hit the wall they've been speeding toward for years. "Say it," I said softly. He looked up, eyes rimmed red. "Dad, I don't even know where to start." "Start with the truth." He swallowed hard. "Okay." Silence. Deep, heavy silence. Then his voice cracked. I thought I had no choice. I didn't move. Not yet. I thought those men could fix everything for me. The debt, the threats, all of it. I thought if I cooperated, if I gave them access to the house, if I got the paperwork, they'd keep their word. They never keep their word, I said quietly. I know that now. His voice broke. And I know I almost ruined everything you built. I know I almost destroyed you. He pressed shaking fingers to his eyes. I'm so sorry, Dad. I'm so damn sorry. I stepped closer, but I didn't touch him. Ethan, I said, do you know what hurt the most? His hands dropped. He nodded. You trusted me. And you didn't trust me enough to come to me, I said. You went to criminals instead of your own mother. A tear slid down his cheek. I thought you'd be ashamed of me. That was the wound I didn't see coming. I pulled out a chair and sat across from him. Ethan, listen to me. Being my son doesn't mean being perfect. It means being honest, even when it's ugly. He let out a breath that shook. I want to fix this. Tell me how. I placed the recorder between us on the table. You already started, I said. Last night, you stood beside me. Not as a mistake. Not as a coward. As my son. He stared at the device as though it were a bomb. What are we doing with it? We're taking it to the police, I said. Today. His eyes widened. You want me to come? Yes. I held his gaze. Accountability isn't punishment. It's healing. He nodded slowly. Okay, I'll do it. I stood and finally put my hand on his shoulder. That's all I ever needed. At the police station, the recording was enough to open an investigation. Names, voices, threats, everything. Gerard and his men were arrested within 48 hours. The officer later told me. They started turning on each other the moment they were separated. Good. Ethan gave a statement. Clear, honest, trembling. But he didn't run from responsibility. For the first time, he faced it. As we walked out of the station, sunlight washed over us. Warm. Real. Dad, he said quietly. Do you think you'll ever forgive me? I slipped my arm through his. Forgiveness isn't a door, I said. It's a path. You're walking it. That's enough. He exhaled, relief softening his shoulders. And the house? He asked. I smiled. The house is safe, Ethan. And so are we. He nodded, eyes shining. Dad, thank you for not giving up on me. I squeezed his arm. I gave birth to you. I can be angry. I can be disappointed. But I will never give up on you. He leaned his head against mine. Then let me earn that. You already started. As we walked home, mother and son, bruised but whole, I knew one thing for certain. Some battles destroy families. But some rebuild them stronger. Thank you so much for watching my story all the way to the end. Your support means everything. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts.